The father of Anna Kepner is breaking his silence, opening up about the devastating circumstances surrounding her death. Just days before she died, Anna confided in her father about growing disagreements with her stepbrother. No one realized that conversation would become a critical piece of a homicide investigation. Anna's father, Christopher Kepner, 41, spoke with people, acknowledging the possibility of his stepson's involvement, while careful not to confirm what investigators have not yet proven. He said, "I do not stand behind what my stepson has done. I want him to face the consequences. I will be fighting to make sure that does happen." When asked if he believes the teen is responsible, he said, "I cannot say that he is responsible, but I can't decline. He was the only one in the room, and the FBI will have to provide the evidence to say he did do it or did not do this." Sources revealed that 18-year-old Anna Kepner confided in her father, Christopher Kepner, about mounting disagreements with her stepbrother days before boarding the Carnival cruise ship. The private conversation, initially dismissed as typical sibling friction amid the excitement of a blended family getaway, has now surged to the forefront of the federal investigation. Detectives are poring over timelines, witness statements, and digital records to trace the chain of events. As the probe deepens, this revelation underscores a pattern of ignored red flags, transforming what was meant to be a unifying vacation into a nightmare. Anna had a vibrant future: cheerleading stardom, Navy enlistment, and unbridled optimism stolen from her. Anna was very smart, a straight-A senior at Titusville's Temple Christian School. She voiced her concerns to Christopher during a casual chat at their Florida home around November 1st, just 4 days before the group's departure. She told him the arguments were getting weird. Not just kid stuff, but him crossing lines, making her uncomfortable, according to a family source. Anna didn't want to ruin the trip, so she downplayed it. But she specifically said, "Dad, he's always in my space lately." These words, now echoing in investigators' notebooks, align with prior allegations from Anna's ex-boyfriend, who had flagged similar behaviors to her parents months earlier. Christopher has not publicly addressed the conversation, however. In his statements, he alluded to the family's regrets over unspoken worries, vowing full cooperation with the FBI. The stepbrother remains the primary focus, his actions dissected through a lens sharpened by Anna's pre-cruise pleas. Security footage from the ship corroborates he was the last and only person seen entering and exiting the shared stateroom in the hours before her death. Anna's fears reveal a far murkier family dynamic, one of obsession masquerading as brotherly affection. Anna had endured escalating intrusions from her stepbrother for months. Her ex-boyfriend, Joshua II, first raised alarms about Anna's stepbrother infatuation with her. Joshua's father, Stephen Weston, amplified the claim, describing the stepbrother's fixation as crazy infatuation. He always wanted to date her, even after the families blended. Anna, fearing family fallout, confided only selectively. But by early November, the discord had boiled over into outright arguments. It wasn't play fighting. It was him demanding time alone with her, getting mad when she said no. The source revealed. She told her dad, hoping he'd separate rooms on the ship, but nothing changed. That evening, deck neighbors heard raised voices, pleas of stay away, and accusations of "you're not real family."
Family, but no different than a real family, and everyone loves each other, and it's all, roses and peaches and stuff. But in reality, life gets in the way. I mean, in reality, it looks like there were issues here. The ex-boyfriend said that this stepbrother would act inappropriately around Anna and climbed on top of her one time when they were FaceTiming with each other, and there was real tension. And yet they were allowed to stay in the same room on this cruise ship, and then this happened. So there are going to be a lot of questions as to whether the stepmother here did something to enable activities and whether she crossed the line into criminal conduct. Did she obstruct justice? Did she become an accessory after the fact? And so I think perhaps one of the reasons why you see this investigation going slowly is because they're not just investigating the young man here, but also his mother and her involvement. And she seems to know that, which is why she did what she did in the family law hearing. She took the fifth, or she said she was going to take the fifth. So she was under the microscope as well. So this family dynamic is really important here, because also jurors want to know the why. Even though motive is not an element in a murder case, jurors want to know, why'd you do it? Why did a 16-year-old kill his stepsister? And that is going to be important to flesh out.
Oh, and I know her attorney in this family hearing said she was cleared in that investigation, and we don't, know if that's true. We'll see.
Could Anna Kepner's stepmother face charges for ignoring the warning signs with Anna and her stepbrother? Legally, criminal charges require proof that she had a duty of care, knew of a serious risk, and failed to act, with that failure directly contributing to harm. Noticing disagreements or tension alone usually isn't enough. Authorities would need evidence she ignored clear threats or obstructed intervention, making her inaction a factor in what happened to Anna. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.
I also think if there were these concerns that it seems like people outside of the family dynamic had about the relationship between Anna and her stepbrother, where the ex-boyfriend clearly thought that there was something going on that was concerning in that relationship, and yet she is staying in the same stateroom as this 16-year-old. Is there any possibility that that becomes something that someone could be charged with if there's evidence that they had somewhat of a concerning relationship?
Yeah, it reminds me of the Madeline Soto case. That's the one out of Orlando. I know that you had followed as well, where the mother allowed the sleazy boyfriend to sleep in the same bed as the underage daughter. Here, if the mother knew that there were issues between the two and there was attempted sexual assault, and yet allowed them to stay in the same room together and made them stay in the same room together, could that mother be charged? Yes, that's why even though the lawyer says there's no there, I don't think that the cops are just going to exclude someone that quickly, especially as the evidence continues to come in. So will the mother ever be charged? I don't know. The mother in the Madeline Soto case was never charged, but I do think it's worth looking at, and I'm sure the cops are.
And then just lastly, I think of this interview that the grandparents gave to ABC News. And as someone in the media, I like getting exclusive interviews. That's, part of our job to find information and help tell the story. But I think of the FBI and how quiet they've been. And then there's that moment that, hey, the grandparents just spoke to ABC, and they say that the stepson told them he doesn't remember anything that happened inside of the room. And I also think potentially for a defense, if it goes that direction, that's now out in the media that he apparently told family members that he didn't remember what happened. What do you make of that? And then I guess as a prosecutor, former prosecutor, and you're, for someone who's an FBI agent, what is that moment like when you look at your phone and you realize that the people who maybe interviewed, maybe pass some information along because they're a family that's grieving, ends up going to the media and gives this interview?
The FBI hates that because they want to keep everything buttoned up. They're not talking, and when this is out in the media, then there are expectations that everyone's like, okay, why aren't you making an arrest? More pressure on the FBI. Plus, it alerts the suspect that the walls are closing in, and then you've got to keep your eyes on the suspect because now you have evidence into the public that really points to guilt here. I mean, talk about consciousness of guilt. I don't remember what happened that night that she died. What do you mean you don't remember? Wouldn't that be something you would remember when the person, your stepsister who was sharing your small cabin, ends up dead and put under the bed, and you say, I don't remember anything? Well, that's bizarre. And the fact that the grandparents are talking, I'm sure that the FBI probably went back to the lawyers who are representing the family saying, not a good idea to talk to the press, because the FBI has all this information, and they haven't made an arrest yet in this case, but that day is coming. And the more that the grandparents and others talked, it doesn't help the cause for the defendant, but also the FBI is also probably thinking, let's keep this buttoned up for now.
Anna's story has left so many questions unanswered, especially why. Could her father and stepmother have done more? Could they face legal consequences for the warning signs they ignored? The investigation is still ongoing, and authorities are piecing together every detail. Share your thoughts below. What do you think should happen? Thank you for watching.